Hello, everybody. Just getting set up. Give it a couple of minutes. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. There was a technical difficulties on this side. So I'm gonna get started. So thank you guys for stopping in today. I'm Dr. Ramik Hunt, internal medicine physician and an obesity medicine specialist. And this is our weekly topic for No Guesswork. And today's topic is 5 tips to help you lose weight as you get older. A lot of people always say that it's really tough to lose weight, as you get older, and it is. There are a lot of reasons why that is. For one, as you get older, your hormones change, and when your hormones change, your metabolism changes, and we all get a slower metabolism as we get older. And so, a lot of people could eat whatever they wanted to when they were younger, but then trying to do that later in life, you like, oops, and you gain some weight. And so, but it's not all hopeless. So there are things that we can do to help fix that. And so we're going to go over 5 tips that can help you get to your weight loss goal even as you get older. And so I wanted to start with tip number 1. And tip number 1 is something that I say to my patients often, and that is that they need to track. You have to track your food. And the reason that is so important as we get older is because the littlest thing can throw us off. Before, you could kind of wing it, and you might, I'm gonna just stay away from this, or I'm just gonna stay away from that. But it turns out that just winging it is not enough, because these little things add up. And so you really do need to track your food to know what's going in your mouth. Whether, no matter what you eat or drink, all of it needs to be tracked. And if you're eating the same things, then that's great. Then you can just hit the button on the tracker because it's already saved in your app, and you just have to hit the button. And so it's really important to track, and especially for my purposes, because when you track, when you bring that data into me, I can look at it and then make a determination as to what's going on with your weight loss journey, and if you're stalled, or what's going on based off of the information you give me. And so tracking is super important. I know sometimes people feel like it's a little tedious, but I tell people, try to track right before you eat the food, or just after, or at the very least take a picture. So that way, if you take a picture of the food, you can put it in later if you're on the go. But tracking is super important. There, that pause for a minute. That's number 1. And then number 2 is the other thing that I say a lot. And that is, you have to plan. Let me just plug this up. Because people who track do better, and people who plan do better. Planning is so important, because whatever you have in your house, if you don't have the bad food in your house, you can't eat it. And so I tell people, when they go to the store, plan for success. So the first thing you should do before you go to the store is make sure you have something to eat. You don't want to go to the store on an empty stomach. That we do not want you to do, because then you'll be picking things out that you shouldn't have. And so if you stock your house with the things that you need to eat, that's like half the battle. If all of your cabinets are full of the things that you need to eat, you'll be fine. But if you have a lot of bad stuff in it, you're gonna be tempted. And so that's what we call stimulus narrowing. So you have to narrow your stimulus and make sure that you have the things in your house that you need. And so that way, it'll set you up for success. And that's what it's all about. Really setting yourself up for success. And the older we get, the more we have to do that, because we don't have as much wiggle room as we may have once done. Let me see. There was some. The older. Sorry, I had to put this down. The older we get, the less wiggle room we have. So it's important that we do that. So you need to track. Number one. Number two is you need to plan. It's very important to plan. So when you go to the supermarket, you get all the stuff in on a no guesswork plan. You need to find out what your carb number is. Hashtag what's your carb number. So you need to make sure that you know what your number is, and then you buy the tasty and delicious foods that you like, that you know fit into your plan. And then so that's 1 and 2. Then number 3 goes with the metabolism. So we need to increase our physical activity. So that's number 3. And the reason that that's so vitally important is because as we get older, as I mentioned in a couple of episodes ago, our metabolism goes down as we get older. And I mentioned it earlier today too. And so when your metabolism is going down, there's nothing we can really do about that at this point. So I can't like turn it down and turn your metabolism back up so you can, burn more fat. So the metabolism part is difficult. So what we have to do then is to increase the part that we can control, and that is your physical activity. Physical activity is super important, and I'm not saying that you necessarily have to go kill it at the gym. Like I mentioned in the last episode, you can increase your physical activity by increasing your NEAT. And NEAT, if you remember, stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So basically, it's all of the activity that you do outside of exercise. So yes, we want you to exercise. We want you to, especially now where it's hard to get to the gym, it's important that you do your physical activity and your exercise. But more important, or just as important, I would say, as your exercise is your NEAT, is all of the other activity that you're doing throughout the day. And you measure that with your Fitbit. So we want you to get your 10,000 steps. So I need you to park farther away. You don't have to fight for that parking spot at the supermarket close to the door. Park at the end. There's going to be way more parking spots available anyway at the end, but you need to do that extra walk. Instead of taking the elevator, just walk up the stairs or walk down the stairs. I know you might just want to get there quickly, but I will tell you that when I walk the stairs, I get up and down quicker than my colleagues who take the elevator, because you get on first, you got to wait for the elevator. Then don't let everybody be on and they press every single button. By the time you get to your floor, I'm already there. And so it's important that you maximize your NEAT, because you can burn 30% more calories than you can with just exercise alone. So NEAT is very important. And as you get older, NEAT is very important because your metabolism is lower. And so when your baseline metabolism is lower as you get older, you need to compensate for that. And the best way to do that is to increase your physical activity. So that is with exercise. So, try to get, do some sort of exercise every day if you can, or at least 3 or 4 days a week. We say 150 minutes is what's recommended a week. And then in addition to that, increase your NEAT. Like I said, park farther away, take the stairs. If you need to get some water, don't walk to the one that's close to your desk, go all the way to the other end. And if you're working from home, you need to get up and maybe go up and down the stairs a couple of times, conveniently place something out of the way. So if you need to get up and get it, one, you're not sitting all day, and you'll get up and you go get your, whatever it is, your stack of papers or whatever. So it's important that you do that. So those are the first three. One is tracking, very important. Track your food. Two is planning. You got to plan. I mean, you got to have your stuff with you. You can't say you're seriously trying to work on your journey to get to a healthier weight if you're not planning. And then three is super important that you get your physical activity together so that you can increase your physical activity to burn some more calories, because you really do need to burn because as your metabolism goes down. And then number four is one that we all, I think, take for granted, and that is sleep hygiene. Sleep is so vitally important, and I'm even guilty of not always getting the proper amount of sleep that I need, but sleep is so important. So what we know is that, some of you guys who've been here, that you know about the ghrelin. If you don't get an appropriate amount of sleep, your ghrelin levels go up. And ghrelin, as you might remember, is the hunger gremlin. And so the lack of sleep or the broken up sleep will raise your ghrelin levels and will make you hungrier the next day. And so it's really important that you get a good night's sleep, particularly as we get older, because again, we don't have as much reserve as we get older. So when we get older, all of these things count. When you were younger, you can maybe go off for a few hours of sleep and be fine. But as we get older, it's important that we get the appropriate amount of sleep, because it's going to lead to number five, which is the fifth thing, is stress management. And so stress management is vitally important. I just had a patient today who was telling me, and actually someone on Friday, who was telling me that it's difficult to do certain things, to do what they need to do sometimes because of all the stress that's going on in their life. And one of the things I asked him is like, well, are you getting a good night's sleep? And he's like, doc, not really. And so we talked about sleep hygiene. And so sleep hygiene is making sure you don't do anything close to bedtime, particularly don't eat around the time you're going to bed. You should exercise, because that'll help tire you out, but you should exercise not close to bedtime, of course. You shouldn't do anything in the bed other than sleep. You got to get your body used to knowing when your head hits that pillow, that it's time to go to bed. And then, and that will help as well with your stress management. And so we all have stress, going back to number five. So we all have stress. And so we need to, find better ways to cope and, deal with our stress. And so, meditation is a very good way to decrease our stress. Getting a good night's sleep is a very good way, as I mentioned. And going back to number three, physical activity. Physical activity is a very good way to alleviate your stress. And someone just said, if you're sleeping, you're not eating, and that's actually a very good point. That you make sure that you get your sleep, because like you said, if you're sleeping, you're not eating. And interestingly enough, if you're sleeping, you're actually burning fat. And do you know why? It's because at night, when we're not eating, we still need energy. And so we get our energy from our fat cells. And so we're burning fat while we're sleeping. And so it's a good thing to get a good night's sleep. It's good for stress management, as we were talking about. And so sleep is just super important for a lot of different reasons. Getting back to stress management, you really, like I said, taking a walk is very important. Clearing your mind, doing certain things that you like, spending time with your friends and family. And that also brings me to another tip. This is a bonus tip. Make sure that you have people around you who are supporting you. You need a good support system, and it'd be even better if you had somebody go along the journey with you. Like, buddy up. Find somebody that is also on a weight loss journey, so you guys can share tips. And also, if you go to the No Guesswork Facebook group, you can join that group. People can, share things, recipes, tips, different thoughts, a lot of support. Because support is important, because there's always gonna be a lot of stress in life. I mean, we're going to a very, very stressful period, and so it's good to have a support system there that can help you. And always, you can obviously reach out to me, reach out to us. It's really, really important to do that. And so let's recap. And Charles actually said, you got to do your NEAT and your SEAT. I didn't talk about SEAT, but SEAT is similar to NEAT in that SEAT stands for Small Exercise Activity Thermogenesis. So things that you do in your chair while you're working. So moving marching in place in your chair, or doing small things at your chair, so that even if you're not going to the gym, you're still doing your SEAT exercises, and you're doing your NEAT because you are increasing your steps every day by, parking farther away, going up and down the stairs, different things like that. So it's important that you do all of those things. And so to recap, and I'll answer some questions, the 5 things, and then I gave you a bonus 6, that I think are very important as we get older, is to track. Tracking is vitally important, because you can't wing it when we're getting older. All those little pieces count. 2, you have to plan, because if you don't have the stuff in your house, you won't be able to win unless you start stacking your house to win. You have to have the tool or the things that you need in your home in order to win. 3 is that physical activity. That is so vitally important as well. And under physical activity is NEAT, SEAT, what I just explained, and then exercise. So you need to do all 3 of those: the NEAT, the SEAT, and the exercise. So all of those things are very important. And then you need sleep. We all need sleep. I'm actually tired right now. So we all need sleep. Sleep is so vitally important because it's going to help with number 5, which is stress management. When we're stressed, we're going to pick. And we need to be able to manage that stress by getting a good night's sleep, doing some meditation, walking, all these different things that we need to do in order to help manage our stress. And so all those things, and then you also need a good support group. Someone asked, is the group? It is a private group, but you can easily join it. Just go to the No Guesswork group, and you can join the group. And of course, I will let you in. If I don't know if I have to be the administrator, to be honest with you, but I'll check it out when we're done here. So those are all of the main things. The support is really, really important. That was my number 6 tip. And I had a couple questions. It says, can you give more understanding of the psychology of why we let ourselves become overweight? That's a very good question. That was coming from the Instagram. Thank you, Mecca. Yeah, you've been doing a good job too. So this question, why we excuse me, drink some water, let ourselves become overweight. I don't think that it's our fault, in the sense that people don't purposely try to gain a lot of weight, unless there's a reason that they're doing it for, a movie or a sporting event. But people are not trying to develop obesity on purpose. We actually live in an obesogenic world, and so it's multiple reasons why there's so much obesity in this country. And the main some of the main ones are that we live in an obesogenic society, meaning that the food that we eat it leads to obesity, and particularly the carbohydrates. Obesity skyrocketed as soon as we changed the food pyramid, and we said to eat 50 to 60% carbs and to decrease our fat. What we did when we did that is that we drove insulin up really, really high, because we started eating a lot of carbohydrates, and particularly sugar and refined carbohydrates, which turns into sugar. And what that did was that raises your insulin. And as you guys know, insulin is your fat storage hormone. So the reason that there's so much insulin is because we eat so many carbohydrates. And because your insulin levels are so high, it just continues to, this is a vicious cycle where you continue to gain weight year after year after year. And then the fact that we live in an obesogenic society, everything is automated. We don't walk to the store anymore. We get food delivered to us. We don't even need to type anymore to order the food. We can just say, Alexa, order me whatever. We live in a society where everything is so automated that, stop it, Alexa. We live where everything is so automated that we don't move enough, which is why NEAT is so important, because we're not getting enough of it in our everyday lives. We're all very, very busy. Things being convenient is important, but it's also obviously important for you to move. And so our society is set up in such a way where you have to work really hard at managing your weight, because it is really, really difficult in the society in which we live. It's easy to grab, a processed food. Anything in a package, by definition, is processed. So if you're grabbing things because you're on a go, that's going to drive up your insulin levels. And when you drive up your insulin levels, you take that food that you ate, and it gets stored in the fat cell. And that's basically how it works. And so, but the good thing is that because we know this, then we can, kind of change it back, and counteract it. Someone asked, what do I think about protein shakes? I think protein shakes are very helpful, for particularly, again, if you're on the go, we need the amount of protein, and when you're losing weight, your protein needs to be a little higher. And so I tell people it should be 30, 30, 30, and then 20 within 20. So with that 30, 30, and it's just a rough guesstimate, you always need to check with your doctor, but 30, 30, 30 means you should get about 20 to 30 grams of protein at every meal if you're eating 3 meals a day, and you should get about at least 20 grams of protein within 20 minutes after a workout. And so, but be careful about the protein shakes that you pick. Make sure you read the label, and that so that they're not high in sugar. The protein shakes that I recommend typically should have less than 10 grams of carbs per serving. You got to make sure that you get ones that are low carb. And there's a bunch on the market that you can get, but make sure you get one that's at least less than 10 grams. The ones that I recommend to my patients only have 4 or 5 grams of carbs, and they have 30 grams of protein. So it's important to get one with 20 to 30 grams of protein. But the truth is, the best way to get protein is to eat it. And so if you can get protein through food, that's great. But protein shakes are very, very helpful. They're quick and easy. And so, I generally have my patients start out on them until they get used to it. And sometimes it just makes it a staple. Like Mecca says, she has one every day, one a day at least, but that's good. And, some people keep it as a staple for themselves, and which is fine. Some people, figure out how to incorporate the protein in their diet. And so but it's important to get your protein. Let me see. I'll answer one more question. I already explained what someone wanted me to explain what NEAT was and SEAT. Explain those things. And then okay, so that question I answered already. So today we talked about, we're going to wrap up now. Today we talked about the 5 tips to help you get to your weight loss journey. Track. I'm going to say it again. People who track do better. People who plan do better. I'm going to tell you. So that's 1 and 2. 3 is increase your physical activity. Even if it's walking, pennies add up. You'd be so surprised how pennies add up. 4 is get a good night's sleep. So tonight, everybody should commit to a good night's sleep. And then 5 is stress management. I'm gonna answer these last 2. How is canned chicken in it? I think it's fine. You just got to be careful about anything in a can because they have to preserve it somehow. And so sometimes those things are loaded with salt. Sometimes these things are also loaded with sugar. So you got to be careful about that. And someone asked about, working on sugar cravings. And sugar cravings are hard. But what I will tell you is you got to do a carb detox. If you can do a carb detox for 3 days, you will be able to manage those sugar cravings. And in the beginning, sometimes artificial sweeteners you can use to kind of help bridge the gap. But then you can get things that are naturally sweet and that are low in carbs. For instance, berries. So strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. Berries are naturally sweet, but they're also very low in carbs. So a handful of strawberries is only 9 grams of carbs. And so that's always a good go-to. And there are a lot of low carb snacks that you can go after. So you can try some of those low carb snacks to help you get over your cravings. But after about 3 days, your brain can calm down from the cravings from sugar. And so thank you guys. Make sure you visit the social media pages. I'm not sure if you're all on all the social media. So either Facebook, Instagram, for the No Guesswork Instagram, as well as join the No Guesswork group. When you get a chance, sign up, and then tell your friends to come to our Monday evening sessions. We're going to do this every week at 6. So I just want to say thank you guys for listening, and have a great night. Take care. Bye.